Hey folks, welcome. I'm recording this for you in advance because this weekend I'm going to be at the Subdued String Band Jamboree. If you have an option or an opportunity to go, come check it out. It's pretty cool. It's very unique. It's very local, very Bellingham. Wonderful, wonderful. Anyway, I guess one anecdote I could give you about it is that when I went a few years ago, when my daughter was 16, she looked around and she said, "This is really different. I don't see anybody wearing makeup and I don't see anybody on their phones. I really like it." And maybe that's just a little nugget of what I liked about it. For our practice today, as usual, you'll need the wall. I'd like you to have something like a bolster, it could be a stack of blankets, and then a long strap. So I'm going to show you our first setup, and then I'll be coming out because there's something I want to read to you. Have your bolster or your stack of blankets nearby, and then you're going to tuck right on into the wall and hike your booty up the wall so that you can come down onto your side and then onto your back. Make sure you arrange your hips, knees, feet, and shoulders into approximately straight lines. Let's call them straight lines. And then we're going to lift and put this bolster or stack of blankets under the hips. So have it really nearby. And then you can just bend your knees to lift your hips up. Slide that goodie under your pelvis. And then re-extend your legs as long as that's comfortable. Let your eyes close down. And with eyes closed, just notice what your body feels like with this elevation of the legs, and then the hips also elevated higher than the heart. You already feel this kind of waterfall-like experience where all of that has been trapped in the feet and the legs. It's now flowing down into the pelvis into the heart, and the heart into the brain. Now, if you happen to be menstruating, you can stay here for a few minutes, but then you should take the bolster out. In general, with menstruation, we want the flow of energy to be going down and out. This flow of energy would be reversing that the pelvis is higher than the heart. So just keep that in mind. I don't have that experience anymore, so I forget sometimes that that's very regular reality for lots and lots and lots of women. So I'm going to come out a moment so that I can read this bit to you. I've been getting very curious about love. There is a book by Bell Hooks called All About Love. Because Bell Hooks researched and studied love deeply. And here's part of this intro. She says, "Love is the great intangible. Everyone admits that love is wonderful and necessary, yet no one can agree on what it is. When the very meaning of the word is cloaked in mystery, it should not come as a surprise that most people find it hard to define what they mean when they use the word love. Imagine how much easier it would be for us to learn about love, how to love, if we began with a shared definition. The word love is most often defined as a noun, yet all the more astute theorists of love acknowledge that we would all love better if we used it as a verb. I spent years searching for a meaningful definition of the word love and was deeply relieved when I found one in psychiatrist M. Scott Peck's classic self-help book, The Road Less Traveled. Echoing the work of Erich Fromm, he defined love as the will to extend one's self for the purpose of one's own or another's spiritual growth. Love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely both an intention and an action. Will also implies choice. We do not have to love, we choose to love. So love. I really, really like that definition. Using one's will to encourage spiritual growth, either for yourself or for someone else. Now, Thich Nhat Hanh talks about the value of listening as an act of love. Listening to me means paying attention very deeply, really choosing to hone in. So let's practice loving our own selves for this hour today. And we'll start with the bottoms of the feet, really loving that distance from your heels to your toe mounds, where you have the arches and the bottoms of your feet. Wishing the best for these parts of you. Now extend your attention to include your toes, big toes, second toes, third toes, fourth toes, and baby toes. And let's feel the tops of the feet. Now let's feel into the ankles, inner and outer, left and right. If we wish spiritual growth for our feet and ankles, what would that mean for feet and ankles? Maybe it's consciousness, physical sensation, and let's try adding breath. Breath in the feet. Now feel your lower legs, shins and calves, all the way from your ankles to your knees. And now feel your knees, your kneecaps, behind your knees, inner and outer knees, inside your knees. And now feel your thighs, all around and inside as well. Paying attention, breathing into the legs, using your will to connect, using your will to wish for spiritual abundance, spiritual well-being in your legs. And let's feel into the hips, hip joints, hip bones, buttocks, pelvis, organs. Breathing in, noticing a sense of aliveness here. Listening, if you will. Bring that attention now into your abdomen, from your pelvis to your chest. Maybe the breath is naturally coming into your abdomen. Maybe you bring it there with your will.
slide attention into the chest from that abdominal line, let's say the rim of the rib cage, all the way up into your shoulders, your chest, collarbones. Again, maybe breath is quite easily felt there, or maybe you want to draw the breath in with your will, with your practice of love. And let's include the shoulders, the whole shoulder, tops, backs, undersides, the armpits. And let's include the upper arm bones as well. The humerus bones, they're called. Use your will to keep your attention in this region of your body now. Start to feel your lower arms from elbows to wrists. Let's include the elbows. And let's also include the wrists. Well, the metta prayers include this beginning of the phrase, something like, may you. We could also practice the metta prayers as we're going through our body scan. So right now, maybe we would say to the lower arms, may you feel loved. May you be happy. Oh, lower arms. Feels a little silly to me, but maybe that's okay. And let's spread the attention into the hands. Feel the backs of your hands on the floor. Tops of your hands facing the ceiling. And the space between the backs and the palms of your hands. Breathe in. Breathe out. Into your hands, may you feel love. May you feel connected, wanted, listened to, attended. And now thumbs, left thumb and right thumb. Filled with attention. Pointer fingers. You feel pulsing. You feel tingling. Do you feel anything? Now on into middle fingers. Perhaps more challenging now to feel your ring fingers. and pinky fingers. And feel your two hands, lower arms, upper arms, shoulders, and your neck all at the same time. Feel the back of your head. Feel the top of your head. Notice the sides of your head and your ears. And now your face, forehead, temples, eyebrows, eyes, cheeks, lips, nose, jaw, chin, mouth, and anything else that I missed. Feel your whole head, including the inside of your head. And now feel your whole body. Sending that will and that wish of love to your whole body. Maybe we can't describe with words how love feels. Maybe it's a felt sense in the body. Now, bend your knees, and whatever's stacked under your hips, slide it out. You'll have to lift up off of it. Move that prop to the side. Slowly, slowly, slowly lower down. And then let's really feel the back of the pelvis again. Feel that whole region that was elevated. Now, use your strap. A long strap is going to work the best, and you might need to tie two straps together. I'm going to put the strap over the bottoms of the feet. Stretch the legs back up. And then take your legs wide apart with the strap over your feet. You can wrap the strap around your hands so it's less effort for your hands. Maybe if your strap is long enough, you can put your elbows on the floor. Now you can let your legs rest against the wall. You can have them a little bit away from the wall, whatever's more comfortable. This practice of yoga is all about paying attention. It's all about love. Loving yourself, loving your body, and showing that with your will, with your actions that are bringing the mind into the body and feeling, what does the body want? So I guide you through these different postures, but I also always welcome you to feel what's right for you today. What would be the best way to express love right now? Maybe it's taking the strap off. Maybe it's bringing your legs back where they were, or bending your knees. Maybe it's getting up to go use the bathroom or get a drink of water. Maybe it's something I've not even dreamt of yet. Where would you like to send your breath now to express this intention to give yourself love? Is it possible to feel love for yourself? Now bring your legs back together and keep the belt on the feet, but let go and hold it up closer to your feet. Because now we'll go to our traditional third position, Baddha Konasana, and you can use the belt to draw your feet maybe closer to the floor. And once your feet have landed, let's take the arms overhead along the floor. So try arms straight, and that might mean arms off of the floor to begin with. Or you can have arms straight, maybe even arms straight up. If you're able to, take the arms to the floor. Neither one is better. This is just what is a full range of motion for my body as it is today. Reach into the arms. So I think you might know that this class is only going to meet a few more times. So I really want to leave you with some helpful tidbits that hopefully you can take into your life on and beyond these classes. And one of them is this arm overhead position. So we can do it lying down. It's the easiest way. Sitting and standing, we have to work against gravity. You can feel there's some effort here. There's some will needed. What we're doing is we're opening this armpit area. So what I've learned for myself and from my clients over the years is that opening this area can be really helpful for depression, for gloom, for the blues, for feeling stuck. It's the same arm position you use in downward facing dog. So right now it might feel like a pretty extroverted, kind of like hello, cheerleader, wow position. But in dog pose, when your head's facing the floor, it's a little quieter, yet you still get the same outcome. It can be very helpful for depression, lethargy, sluggishness, the blues. Even on the days when you don't want to get out of bed, you can try taking arms overhead in a lying down position. If it's comfortable to keep your arms extended this way, do so. Otherwise, you could relax them now, maybe bend them. Maybe they come into more of a goalpost shape. Or maybe you want to stay with that willful practice. If you're having the blues today, would it be possible for you to exert some will on your own behalf? Sometimes when there's depression, it is a feeling of not being loved or lovable. And we can challenge the physical sensations by taking different positions and finding out, is there really a connection between my mind, body, and emotions? So even though you might say, oh, but I have a shoulder issue, and that's just a physical situation, that's the feelings that arise because you have a shoulder issue. Feelings of loss or depression or grief. Grief, I can't do what I used to do. How will I ever do the things I want to do when I have this shoulder issue? So that's where mental, emotional, and physical health are pretty obviously intertwined. Don't be surprised though if this feels like new information. We live in a culture that likes to separate everything out. You go to one doctor for surgery and a different doctor for physical therapy and another one for mental health and another one for emotional support. But the yoga practice addresses all of it. All right, let's let those arms come back down along our sides. And then we'll slip the belt off the feet and stretch the legs up straight again. And let the belt just rest over your belly. Oh, tummy, I mean. It's my will practices to say tummy instead of belly. I know sometimes belly might have a negative connotation, that belly might sound like a larger or softer belly than is your ideal. But to me, it's the sweet softness, like a child, or just the allowing this part to be soft. Now for the twists, I want to add another option for you today. Bend your knees, shift your hips to the left, and you could put a little lasso around the front of your shins as you roll the legs over to one side. Then you can hold on to that belt with the right hand and stretch the left arm out to the side. If you want a little more of that antidepressant factor, you can take the arm at more of a diagonal and you'll find a different kind of stretch. For some of us, it'll be stronger. For some of us, not as strong. And again, find out what you're willing to do for your own mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Isn't that an act of love? What am I willing to do to feel better? Sometimes it's really difficult to pass up those things that would give us a temporary sense of love or well-being. So maybe you have a cookie and you have a piece of fruit, and that cookie looks so good. My gosh, we are so wired for sugar, for loving sugar. But what if we exerted the will and said, I'm going to eat this piece of fruit. I'm going to have the natural sugar, the natural balance of all the other essential fiber and vitamins and nutrients that are in the fruit. And then find out, how does my body feel? You could do it as an experiment. You could try doing the cookie one day, notice how you feel, and try doing the fruit one day, notice how you feel. And recognize that it's an act of will, strong act of will to pass up sugar. We are wired for sugar. We love sugar. In its natural form, it has the components that we need to balance out that amount of sugar. But in the refined form, in the cookie, and the flour is refined, whatever else is in your cookie might be. So they've taken out a lot of the balance of the nutrients there. It's not that it's bad, it's just that it'll give you a different experience than eating a piece of fruit. And using your will to choose what's healthy for you is another way to practice self-love. We're going to come back to center. So you can bring your left hand on the belt as well. Bring your knees back up. Rearrange your hips in line with all the other body parts. And then take your legs up again. I migrated away from the wall, so I'm scooching back in. I like to be nice and close because I have long hamstrings, and this feels really good to me. Okay, second side. Knees are bent. If you didn't like the lasso, you can leave it out. Otherwise, shift your hips right and bring the lasso around the back, your ankles, your heels, so that you can roll to the left. And then if you're using it, hold the belt with the left hand and reach your arm out to the right. Again, you could take the more diagonal position if you like that open armpit antidepressant action. So I'm fully supportive of using medication to enhance or balance mental health issues. And I'd like to point out that there are other things we can do that might work for you, such as opening the armpit there. Now, if your depression is severe, this isn't going to be enough for you. But this is something you could do to support your medical approach, let's say. I happen to have this table leg right here I'm holding on to because I'm noticing this side is not as available. The stretch is not as available on this side as it was on the first side. What is love? What is love? We're nowhere near Valentine's Day. In fact, I think we're about 6 months away from Valentine's Day. And what a funny thing to imagine that there's only a certain time of year you're going to contemplate love. We need love every single day. We need to feel loved and to experience loving. So maybe the loving kindness verse could be helpful. If you're also feeling this intense stretch across the right side of your chest, to your right side of the chest, may you feel loved. May you feel my love, my attention, my acceptance of the tightness that's there. Now we're going to roll back onto the left side. I didn't plan on how to get the lasso off, so however you can get that belt off is just great. And then take your left arm under your head, either bent or straight. Again, I like my arm straight here. That feels good to me. And rest. I'm going to bring your right hand down to the floor and slowly draw yourself up from the floor. And you can scoot a little bit away from the wall. Now let's take the bolster, or what you're already using as a bolster, put it right over there back by the wall. Grab your strap. We're going to come down onto our backs again with the feet on top of the bolster and the legs extended out long. Now, push out through your heels as if you're going to push your heels into the wall. And then also press your heels down into the bolster. Feel the backs of your legs engage. Pressing down, legs engage. Feel your gluteal muscles, feel your hamstrings. I'm feeling also my quads, my knees. Let everything relax. Now bend the right knee in towards your chest and put your strap over the bottom of the right foot. If your head comes off the floor when you put your strap on, be sure to put your head back onto the floor. If your head can't get back to the floor, put a blanket underneath. Now, let's straighten that right leg and we're going to push up through the right heel. And we'll press down through the left heel. So the left leg is going to do what we were just doing with both legs. We're using the belt to draw the leg towards the head. But at the same time, let's isometrically pull that right leg back towards the wall, towards the left leg. Feel your legs really engaging. So using your legs, using the strength of your legs and your hips is a way to regain confidence, stability, a sense that you can hold your own body up with your own legs. The legs, the right leg is pulling towards the left leg and the left leg is pulling towards the floor. Feel that intensity there in your legs. Feel your willingness to show up and do something that needs some will, some exertion for your own well-being. And take one more breath in. As you exhale, relax both of your legs. And then with the legs relaxed, find out if that right leg would like to come a little closer to your head. Is it possible for that leg to move a little closer? Okay, let's bend the right knee, take the belt off, stretch the right leg out again, heel on the bolster. The difference between your two legs. Once again, reach your feet towards the wall, and then press your feet down into the bolster. Active legs, front and back. Now, if you get really active legs, you might even float your hips up off of the floor. Don't do that if it bothers your back, but if you have your legs really on fire, really fired up, really active, you might feel your pelvis lifting up off of the floor. If your pelvis is up, bring it back down, relax the legs. Now bend your left knee in towards your chest and put your belt around your foot. And stretch that leg as straight as it will go. So my leg goes high because I have long hamstrings. Your leg might be over here, totally fine. If your hands get tired of holding the belt, again, you might wrap the belt around your hands so that you're not gripping so much with your fingers. Wherever that leg is, that's the perfect place for your body in this moment, as it is today. And let's press that right leg, right foot down into the bolster. So that belt is pulling the foot towards your head, but pull that leg towards the wall. If you're trying to pull it all the way down to join the right leg, pressing, which is pressing its heel into the bolster. And feel your will. Feel your willingness to be here for yourself and with yourself to express love. And we often think of love as just like, oh, the sweet mommy who always says yes and gives you the cookie and tucks you in. It's part of it. But love is also active. Love needs to be expressed by willingness to put out some effort. Take a breath in. Exhale, let all that effort go. And then with relaxed legs, find out if that left leg might want to come closer to your head. Keep the leg straight though. Bend. Okay, let's bend the knee. Take your belt off and put it to the side. Now we're going to scooch that bolster out from underneath the heels. So just slide it with one leg. And stretch your legs out straight. And again, press your heels towards the wall and towards the floor. Bring your hands together at your heart. Press your palms against each other. Now slide your shoulder blades up towards your ears and then slide them back down away from your ears. Let's do that again. Move with the shoulder blades, keeping the legs active. This next time when your shoulder blades are away from your ears, press your palms together and dive your hands towards the wall behind you, keeping those shoulder blades moving away from your ears. Legs are active, arms are active. Dive into your arms. The shoulder blades go the other direction. And let's open the arms wide to the sides. Shoulder blades are still moving away from the ears. And then bring your arms down along your sides and relax your legs. Now bend your knees. And take one set of fingers and tuck them behind your low back. As you inhale, arch your low back away from your fingers. Relax the belly. And as you exhale, lengthen your back along the floor so that it touches your fingers, but doesn't press into them. The inhalation is the arched back. The exhalation is the long back. So start to feel this tone in your abdomen as we're arching. Not as we're arching, as we're lengthening. The tone comes with the lengthening. Soft belly for the inhale and arch. Toned belly for the lengthening. Good. Just take a little rest. Leave your fingers under your back. In fact, you know what? Let's take the fingers out and we'll switch and we'll put the other fingers behind the back. Now, the ones that were originally behind the back, use them to find the bottom of your rib cage and then take them just south of the rib cage. So it's like you just went over the edge of the cliff there. So with your belly relaxed, it should be soft there. I'm feeling that area just below the rib cage, the beginning of the transversus abdominal belt. Now, with your hands there, pressing in, pull your rib cage down towards the floor and feel that that area gets firmer when we do that. Let's do that again. Arch your back so that your ribs come away from the floor. And then hug the ribs down towards the floor. Feel that firming. Then let's add this to the pelvic rocking. Inhale, arch the back, nice soft belly. As you exhale, pull your ribs down and then lengthen your back along the floor at the same time. Do that again, arching with the inhale, soft belly. Exhale, ribs come down and we lengthen the low back. One more time. And let's pause here with the ribs pulled down, with the belly toned, with the low back long. So the fingers are under the back so that we don't press the low back completely into the floor. Slide those fingers out from behind your back now, but leave the gap. Bring your hands together in front of your heart again. And we're going to keep pulling the ribs down towards the floor without pressing the low back into the floor. There's a little gap still. And we're going to dive again. Ready? Here we go. Inhale. Exhale, start to dive your hands towards the wall behind you, even though the shoulder blades are going to move the opposite direction. And the arms aren't going as far because my action of my ribs helps me realize that without this discipline, I was doing the work with my rib cage instead of with my shoulders. So it's a more honest expression of what my arms and shoulders can do. Let's keep the ribs hugged down as we take the arms out to the sides. They might hover, they might be on the floor. Inhale. Exhale, relax, bring your arms down along your sides. Now, if any of this isn't making sense to you, don't worry about it. Let's say that the main focus today is going to be to pull those ribs while we're doing this arm work. We're going to put it together now with the same actions of the legs. So now you can stretch your legs out straight. Draw your heels towards the wall and towards the floor. Hug the ribs from front to back. Palms together at your heart. Inhale as you slide your shoulder blades up towards your ears. Exhale as you slide the shoulder blades away from your ears and dive your fingertips towards the wall behind you. Open the arms wide. Bring your arms down along your sides and rest. Imagine you can breathe in that expression of love again. Paying attention. It says, I care about you. Let's take one arm along the ear again. Bend your knees and roll to your side, letting your head rest on your arm. And then press yourself on up to all fours. Place your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. And let's do a few rounds of cat and cow. Lift your sitting bones, arch your back, lift your collarbones. Drop the sitting bones, round your back, hollow out your chest as you look back towards your legs. Inhaling is the rolling forward and open. Exhaling is the rounding and the head coming back. One more time. Now take your gaze right between your hands. Keep your ribs moving from front to back. And stretch your right leg back. My right leg's not meeting the wall. Let's crawl back close enough so that we can put that right foot against the wall with the leg straight, all the way straight. Remember before, we're pushing the heel towards the wall and into the bolster. So that means that heel now is going to push upward. Now I just look back, my toes are turning out a little bit. So look back at your foot. Let's turn the toes all the way down. Push the heel into the wall and up towards the ceiling. Keep your ribs also moving up towards the ceiling. Feel confidence and strength from having legs connected to the core. Now, if you want more challenge, you could also take that left arm forward. Shoulder blades still relax away from the ears. So we're going to keep the leg really strong for a few more breaths. Really push into the wall and up towards the ceiling. This is hard work. This is your will, your willingness to show yourself love. Good. Lower your arm if it's up. Lower your leg. That was a lot of work. Let's do a child's pose to rest. Knees apart, toes touching. Come down, and you can even grab your bolster and rest your head
on your bolster. Notice that we don't just do the vigorous postures. We don't just show will in that way all the time. We need to balance it out with that sweet kind of mother bear love, comfort, acceptance. Right, it's time for the will again though. Push your hands into the floor, lift up off of the prop. If you have the prop there, we'll put that prop to the side again. Back to all fours. And let's measure, be sure that the left leg can reach the wall with the leg straight. And then bring that knee back to the floor for a moment. Let's drop the ribs down for a moment with contrast. Notice how that feels as far as being able to access your core, and then hug your ribs up towards the ceiling again. Okay, stretch the left leg back. Look back, be sure your toes are turned down, and then push your heel into the wall, really straighten the leg. Drag the heel up the wall, and then take your right arm forward, down between your hands. Well, if your arm's gone, next to your left hand. Keep the ribs drawing up, so that's going to engage that transversus belt that we learned about under the ribs there. Push back through the leg. Keep your neck and your head in line with your spine. Usually the head falls down, so it probably means lifting the back of your head up. You need that leg as straight as you can. One more breath in. Exhale, bring your hand down, bring your leg down. This time, instead of going to child's pose, we're going to turn completely around until the hands go towards the wall. Now, you're going to open your hands so they look kind of like a V there, putting the thumb and the edge of your index finger against the wall, both hands. And my little wall here isn't complete, so I'm not going to be able to actually model that for you, but at home, please put your thumbs and index fingers against the wall. And take a moment here to rotate your elbow creases towards the wall. As you do that, let your shoulder blades move away from your ears. Now we're going to go to downward dog with the hands braced against the wall. Here we go. Lift your knees up, take your hips up and back. Now remember before what I was saying about the over the head arm position being a great antidepressant. If your hamstrings are short, you're not going to be able to get the arms over the head position. So if that's true for you, bend your knees so that you can take the hips back and look side to side. Where are my arms? Are they in line with my ears? Are they in front of my ears, behind my ears? And then breathe into those opening armpits. Opening and releasing some of the physical symptoms of depression. Keep the elbow creases turning up. Keep the shoulder blades away from your ears so your head and neck can hang. Now, if you're able to, keep that overhead arms position and straighten your legs, do that. But it might not be possible. I don't know if I've ever said this to you all, but I want to make sure that you know that heels on the ground in dog pose is somewhat rare. The idea of pushing your heels into the floor is not going to work in everybody's body. In fact, for many of us, it would mean the back rounding. So don't worry about your heels touching the floor. One more breath in. Exhale, bring your knees down. And you're going to turn yourself around one more time. This time, point your toes so your toenails are down along the floor. And bring the tips of your toes to touch the wall. There's another way to do the dog pose if your hamstrings are short. Turn the toes under so that as you come up, your heels are up the wall. That's going to elevate your heels a bit so that it might be possible to push the heels down and not shorten, not round the back because of the hamstrings being short. You can even crawl your toenails all the way to the corner to get your hips up even higher. But you can feel that makes it heavier and heavier in your arms. So feet up the wall is maybe easier on the legs and back, but more work for the arms. One last breath in. And exhale to bring your knees on down. Now before Shavasana, we're going to do one more thing for that open chest feeling. If it's possible to sit on your heels, sit on your heels. If not, take your bolster and put it between your heels and your sitting bones. Let's roll these shoulders a few times. Feel the possibility of this idea of love flowing into your shoulders even more so now after the work we've done. And bring your hands to your heart. Place the fingers together and turn your hands inside out. Before you take the arms overhead, I'll show you from the side. Before the arms come overhead, let's hug the ribs from front to back. Yeah, and then arms can come up. Neck long, shoulder blades relaxed. You might feel the stretch in your fingers, your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders, or maybe it's the tone of the abdomen that's needed to keep the ribs moving front to back. Maybe I'm going to miss teaching you all on Fridays. It's been a really delightful several years at Unity here. I'm going to miss you. Maybe there's some other way we'll be together. All right, exhaling, let your arms slowly float down to the floor. Well, it's time for Shavasana. And since we have the bolster, let's use it behind the legs. Place the bolster across your mat. You put it behind your legs in a way that your feet will still rest on the floor. So for me, it has to be more towards my hips. Once you get yourself settled there, take your fingers in front of your face, and then tuck your fingers over the tops of your shoulders and tuck your shoulder blades down away from your ears. And then place your arms down on the floor, palms turned up, unless you're feeling extra restless, in which case you turn the palms down. Close your eyes. Feel the back body settling on the floor. And Scott Peck says, love is the will to extend one's self for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely both an intention and an action. Will also implies choice. We do not have to love. We choose to love. When we choose to love, we choose to love this body as it now comes to rest. Feeling the movement of your breath. Letting that breath flow into all aspects of yourself. Keeping your breath now. Feeling how you have expressed this love towards yourself through yoga practice, this idea of encouraging your own or someone else's spiritual growth. Some deep, deep breaths. And then draw your knees up towards your chest. Roll to your side. And come on up to a seat. Meet me in a seat. Your hands at your heart in Anjali Mudra. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste. Well, friends, I hope to see you next time. And feel free to make comments in the chat if you have suggestions or requests. All right, take good care.